my mic on? Yes. Alright, welcome to my bedroom with my pooch Barnaby. Today I wanted to talk about all of the places that I have ever traveled. And yeah, I just feel like I forget stuff so easily that I want to make a point of documenting, because there's even a lot of trips that I've done that I haven't told you guys about, and I've been on YouTube while I did them, so let's get started. Okay, so I made a list, one sec. Okay, when I was 17 years old, I volunteered one summer helping out with exchange students at my school. They were doing like a summer camp kind of thing just for the exchange students. Pretty much, I fell in love with them. I loved it so much and I missed them so much when they left that I decided that I wanted to go to Japan as an exchange student there. So January of my grade 12 year, I booked my flight, I got it set up with my school and the school in Japan to go to Japan. This was my very first flight, my very first time traveling ever. So I went to Japan and I had like the worst culture shock of my life, and my homestay must have just thought I was crazy because I was just so out of it. Like, I was so overwhelmed like the whole time. I was only there for 1 month, but it was still just ridiculous. But I stayed in Kyoto, and Japan's just super cool. Like, I wish that I wasn't so young and overwhelmed while I was there, because it could have been so cool, but unfortunately it was just really hard for me. And yeah, so that was my very first trip ever, and yes. Fast forward a year and a half later, I'm 19 years old. My friend and I were talking about traveling, and we were looking at different options, one of which was au pairing, which is pretty much abroad nannying. So she and I were looking at different au pairing things, and she found a super awesome family that wanted 2 au pairs at one time. They wanted 2 nannies because they had triplet girls.
Hello.
Is your face?
We are the girls that
You're so cute. My 3 favorite girls.
You'll get other horses.
Yeah. Tell who Miss Scarlett is.
Friend! She's a muleful.
She's the best. Yeah, friend?
Yeah.
And we had our own suite. I think it's still on here.
I'm going to vacate, but still.
No, they're not. They lived in like a gorgeous mansion.
Very cute in that person bathroom trailer.
And yeah, it was just a cool experience, and we traveled to a few other places in Italy.
We are in Fondies for Longa.
And then, okay, so we nannied for 4 months. After that, we decided to go to Ireland, my same friend and I, and spend Christmas there.
Okay, ready? Everyone has to smile. I'm ready to go.
Get in line with your family. Cute. We're in the cliffs. More. Yeah. Can't wait with them. Just so many funny memories. After that, I went to England, and then I met up with my friend Daniel, who I had met back in Canada. He was traveling, and we decided to travel together. So we both went to... We did some house sitting in England.
Poo-poos, why are you crying?
Woo! So we took care of some dogs, and that was awesome. And then we went to France, and we did Workaway, which was so cool. We got the specific Workaway we were doing, the lady was renovating her 200-year-old farmhouse. And it was just awesome. Like, I got to learn how to drywall and stone point, and it was just in a beautiful location, and the house was so beautiful, and it was just really cool experience. I think we stayed 2 months there. After that, we headed to Spain, where we spur of the moment decided to do Camino de Santiago, which I might be saying that wrong, but it's the pilgrimage where you hike across Spain. April 23rd, 2016, Barcelona to... Hello, party people! This is real time. Hiking up a hill, and it's hard. It's really freaking hard. We're at the end of day 7. We only made it halfway because Daniel had a time commitment somewhere else. So he ended up leaving and going there. I went to Portugal, and I stayed there for a week or so before I caught my flight home. Lisbon! There are 16 beds in this room. Crazy. And that was a cool experience because that was my first time where I got to travel and be completely by myself. And it was honestly super nice, and yeah. And then I flew home just in time for my 20th birthday. Just got to the airport. Here we are. Ellery greeted me in a bikini. And my family. I spent summer at home, and then I decided to start art school in the fall. So I started going to school. I really wasn't very happy, and I just had no idea what to do with myself, really. And then some mutual friends of mine, I had heard that they were going on a bike trip to Mexico. And biking to Mexico has been one of my dreams since I was like 16. Like, I'd been trying to plan that trip so hard, but no one wanted to go with me. And then these mutual friends were like, "Oh, Sahara, why don't you come? Like, we've heard that you wanted to bike to Mexico." Day 1. Oh yeah, Adam's excited. Guys, this is day 1. Can't believe we're doing it. I'm so scared. I'm so excited. It already looks like we're in Mexico. This is my dream. And then I just got super excited and I messaged them and I said, can I please come? And they said, yes you can. And I said, you're crazy, you don't even really know me. And it was like a boys trip, like I was the only girl. And they were so kind to let me go, and that was the best trip. Like, I will hold that trip close to my heart, I think, for the rest of my life. Like, every day was so challenging because I wasn't nearly as strong as the boys. And so every day biking was so painful, and just like, I don't know, I just like fell so in love with each of those boys. Like, I just loved them. And just biking across America was so cool, and every day just felt so magical. Like, we met so many cool people and we got to stay in so many cool places, and just every day was so full of just like laughing so hard. And November 31st, we made it to San Francisco on our bike trip. Simi and I have matching hairs.
Hairs, all of them, they match.
And Simi has cornrows.
Klamath drive-through tree. Check.
No check for me.
No check for you.
The
You'll
tree
hear
is
about
not
it later.
safe.
Not safe. Look at that distortion on my face. Wait, look at this. Right there.
Right there. Oh yeah.
Look fat. Not really fat, just extended.
For real? That's like normal. Simply wide.
Simple as that. Yes, simple as Oh, I just love that trip so much. Like, that's the best trip I've ever done, and I don't know how it could ever be topped. So I biked to Mexico. We made it to Mexico just in time for Christmas, and we spent Christmas there, and it was so magical. And then we took a Greyhound back up to Canada. Now that Simi and I are professional American line bus riders, we're not even phased at the realization that our bikes are missing. No big deal. And I remember we spent New Year's on the bus because when we got to Canada, there was a huge snowstorm and everybody was stuck in the snow, so all the traffic was backed up. So we spent New Year's on the bus, and even that was just so funny, and I just love that trip. Like, I wish I could relive that trip. Anyway, could just start crying about it. Okay, so after the bike trip, I spent like 7 months at home before I spontaneously decided to join another friend's trip and go to Switzerland. Go ahead.
Where do you wash it in the sun?
GBB. What's the actual name?
Is that genuine?
No.
Next we're going on a suspension bridge. This is such a funny shot with you guys. Oh, no.
Get a silhouette in that.
Oh, my hair looks so gross. Look at this.
And in Switzerland, we stayed in a little town called Grimmens, and it was so beautiful. Like, we were just up in the Swiss Alps, and we got to stay in our own little apartment with this gorgeous view. And it was just so fun, like getting your groceries and then hiking up this huge hill to get to your house. That trip was so fun too. And so yeah, I only spent a month there, and then I came home, chilled at home for a few months, and then I planned a trip to the Yukon! Woo! Yukon. And I just wanted to experience like a real Canadian winter.
GTS.
So me and a few friends headed on up in my truck, and oh, we found one.
Pretentious.
Best place on earth.
And we had a time limit, so we only had like 4 days before we had to get back. And that trip was so cool. Like, same as the bike trip, it just felt like every day was so packed with like magical things. Shot us in the caravan. And I found a huge moose antler in the snow that I like. That trips like that and the bike trip are so cool because you don't plan anything, like you just go, and then when it all just works out perfectly, it feels so magical. Like, one morning we hiked up this ski hill before it was open. Morning of day 3. Here we are. Come to a ski hill to get our sled on, and Simeon get his ski on. We slept at the end of a random road with a oh my gosh. And we launched some fireworks, and just every day that trip was so good. And northern BC and the Yukon are gorgeous. Like,
Not the.
the most beautiful places I've ever seen in my life. Like, I feel so lucky to live in BC. I think it's the most beautiful place on the whole earth. And so yeah, that trip.
Yukon, larger than life.
Then, more recently, a few months ago, about 2 months after the Yukon, me and my friend decided we were going to go to India, and Simeon, we made it to India.
Sure did.
I got a year's visa, and I was ready to live in India and say goodbye to my Canadian life. So we got to Delhi. Delhi was crazy. So I've been in Delhi now for a few days, and I haven't filmed anything just because I needed a few days just to get used to being here, because Delhi is so overwhelming in every way. Like, all of your senses are just...
How's feeling here?
Love it.
Love
perfect. And you're taking a picture, I think.
I'm taking a video.
Like the most, like, I don't even know how to explain it. You'll have to watch my video Sounds of India that is in Delhi, and it is just wild. And so spent about a week there, and we had nothing planned. Like, we had very loose plans. And I ended up talking to a friend who was in Vietnam, and they're like, hey, why don't you guys come to Vietnam? We're doing a scooter trip. And me and my friend who were in India were talking about doing a scooter trip across India. So it kind of just felt like fate to me. Like, we were planning on doing this scooter trip. India was looking kind of overwhelming to scooter across, but my friends had just reached out to us and were like, we already have scooters for you, like, you can come and do this and it'll be awesome. And so I was like, yes, and we talked about it, and it ended up that the friend that I was with decided that it wasn't for him, and he was going to stay in India and work in Mumbai and do some volunteering. And that actually worked out perfectly because the volunteer that he was doing I couldn't actually go to. And so I was like, perfect, I'll go to Vietnam for a month, you volunteer in Mumbai for a month, and I'll see you, and I'll come back and I'll see you in a bit. So went to Vietnam. Oh, this is a great shot, guys.
Is it filming? My hat.
Yay!
Tony, smile.
Best friend! Best friend forever!
Oh, is it a video? A video?
Yeah, it's a video.
Did some scootering, stayed with my friend's family, and it was just a really chill, awesome trip. Yeah. And then I flew back to India. On my way over to India, I threw up in the plane, all over the ground, and all over myself. And before, when I had left for Vietnam, I had gotten sick, and then the whole time I was in Vietnam, like the whole 3 weeks that I was there, I was quite sick, and I had a really hard time eating, and I had really bad nausea. And then on my way back to India, it just seemed to like get worse again. Like, I felt like I was getting better, but at that time it felt like it just hit me hard again. And then I get to India, and my MasterCard's not working, and the airport has no Wi-Fi. So I have no money and I have no Wi-Fi, and I'm sitting in this tiny airport in Goa, India, and I have no way of reaching my friend who is in India. I have no way of getting out of the airport because I have no money to get a taxi or a cab or anything. So I'm just sitting in the airport all night for like 10 hours, and I have no idea what to do. And like, I was supposed to meet my friend at a hotel, but I couldn't even call him or anything to tell him, hey, I'm stranded. And I remember asking a few people, like, hey, can you help me? Can you, like, I need to reach my friend. And like, everyone was so unhelpful and just like, why are you talking to me kind of thing. And I was feeling so helpless. Like, I'm pretty sure I just cried majority of that night. And then in the morning I asked this kid about my age, like, please can you hotspot my phone so I can like reach some of my contacts because I'm like stuck here. And like, he was so kind and he's like, yes, sure, do your thing. And so I remember looking at my phone and, oh, and also I had lost my charger. So my phone, this is sounding like a movie, this is real, okay? This is exactly what happened. I had only about 20% on my phone and I had lost my charger. I have no charger, I have 20%. And so I remember looking at my phone and like seeing that my friend I didn't even see an email from my friend, so I was like, oh no, maybe he didn't even get my last email, maybe he doesn't even know that I'm here. What am I doing? Like, if I just message him and my phone dies, like, am I gonna be stuck here forever? Like, is he gonna come save me? It just seems too unpredictable. And so I remember I messaged my mom, and thankfully she was on her phone, and she's like, and I'm like, Mom, please can you just buy me a flight home? Obviously I'll pay you back, but I just can't buy it myself right now. She's like, yes. So she started ordering the flight. And I was like, I remember being so anxious because I was waiting for her to order the flight, and I'm sitting with this kid using his hotspot, and I feel so bad that I'm using it, so I'm like trying to be fast. Plus my phone is almost dead, so I'm like, I don't want to waste my battery because I need to be able to show them the ticket to get in the airport, because this airport was so small that they just push you outside and you have to wait outside until your flight. So I couldn't even get in the airport without my flight information. So I was so anxious, but she ended up getting it, and the flight was like 20 hours away though, so I just sat outside the airport for 20 hours, and oh, it was so crazy. Like, maybe I should make a separate video just about this experience, because there's just like so much more to this story. But anyway, I ended up getting to go home, and I'm so thankful because it just seemed like my body was just holding out until I could be like in the safety of my home. And then after that, I was so sick. Like, I laid in bed for probably 3 weeks, just so sick. Everything I ate, I vomited, and it turned out I had quite a few different parasites, one of which caused stomach ulcers. So like, even after I got them treated, I just had such a hard time eating for such a long time, and it just worked out better. I'm so grateful for how everything turned out. And yeah, that's all my traveling experience for now. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this was fun to listen to. And yeah, I'm so excited to see what life has in store for me, because I'm realizing the theme of my life is like spontaneity, however you say that. Like, I'm very spontaneous and very just, I'm all in at once. Can you turn it off? Okay. Thank you. It's all or nothing. So, like, my life feels like it changes so quickly, and so it makes me very excited to see what's gonna happen in the next, even just in the next year. So, yeah. Thank you so much for watching, and also, if you haven't heard, I have t-shirts for sale. It's a design that I drew myself. There's a bunch of different colors, and I would so much appreciate it if you felt like you wanted to buy one. And I will link them below in my description. And what else do I say about them? Oh, they're only available for like 8 or 9 more days, depending on when I get this video up. So if you want one, keep that in mind. And just, yeah, thank you so much for supporting me. Thank you so much for watching this video. I love you. You're so beautiful. I think you're cool. Yeah. Bye.
Oh, Molly, hey, what you doing there? Sitting in the haystack, shooting at a barrel.